Michael Imhotep. It's Monday, November 29th, 2021. Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF here in Detroit. So Bill Cosby's back in the news. Prosecutors ask U.S. Supreme Court to review decision to overturn Bill Cosby's conviction. We'll discuss that. I posted about it today on our fan page, the African History Network. It got close to 500 likes. Now, in researching this information here, NBCnews.com has a good article dealing with this, as well as the Washington Post. It's unlikely that the U.S. Supreme Court will take up this case, but you never know. You're dealing with a 6-3 conservative Supreme Court, thanks to the traitor-in-chief, Benedict Donald. And to be quite honest with you, a lot of people not understanding how important the Supreme Court is and how important it is to vote for not just president, but also the U.S. Senate, because it's the U.S. Senate that confirms Supreme Court nominations. But that's another conversation. So it's not clear. It's not likely that the Supreme Court will take this up, but we'll see. Stranger things have happened. So we'll talk about that. Then also, today is Chadwick Boseman's 45th birthday. Actor Chadwick Boseman, who we know passed away of pancreatic cancer at the age of 43. He was born November 29th, 1976, and he would have been 45 years old today. Chadwick Boseman, who was T'Challa in the Black Panther, and I'm wearing my Black Panther T'Challa shirt today in honor of Chadwick Boseman. So we'll talk a little bit about this as well, and we know he passed away of pancreatic cancer back in 2020, August 28th, 2020. Trending on social media today was the hashtag Wakanda Forever, as fans celebrate Chadwick Boseman's 45th birthday. Now, we know that the filming of Black Panther 2 is taking place, and it's going to be called Wakanda Forever as well. And there were questions around how were they going to deal with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Are they going to recast his character? Is somebody else going to be T'Challa? What are they going to do? All right. So there was an article from BET. There's an article from BET News, and I've read some other articles as well. I monitor some of the comic book. Comic book websites, things like this. And BET is reporting that Marvel says they will not recast Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther character in Marvel Comic Universe for the upcoming Wakanda Forever film for Black Panther 2. Okay, so we'll talk about that also. And when we study the Marvel Comic Universe, we know that throughout the history of Wakanda, a number of people have held the title of Black Panther. And at one point, Shuri, T'Challa's sister, is the Black Panther as well in the comic book. Okay, so we'll discuss that. Now, we talked about Kevin Strickland being released from prison in Missouri. We covered that story last week before the holiday break. And when we talked about the story, Kevin Strickland in prison for about 43 years, African-American man, appears he was wrongly convicted. And we talked about how Missouri state law will not compensate people who are exonerated without DNA evidence, if they are exonerated without DNA evidence. And he said, he would be penniless, released from prison. He has nothing, etc. Well, there's a GoFundMe campaign set up for him, and it's raised over $1 million now. I think it's at about $1.5 million now. Originally, when we reported this last week, it was at $50,000. Okay, and now it is over $1.5 million that has been raised for him. Okay, so that's a fantastic story, but the law in Missouri still needs to be changed. We're gonna deal with that some, and this is an example of how elections have consequences as well. All right, this is an example of how elections have consequences. All right, so we'll talk about that also, and then we covered the Michael Bryan murder trial and the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And we talked about last Wednesday on the 24th, dealt with the guilty verdicts. Okay. All three white men have been found guilty in the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. So one of the questions that came up was, what's the difference between malice murder and felony murder? What's the difference between malice murder and felony murder? Because Travis McMichael was found guilty on malice murder, but the son, but Greg McMichael and William Bryan were found not guilty on malice murder. Okay, so we'll discuss that a little bit again as well. We talked about it some right before the break, but a lot of people are catching up on news, so we'll deal with that again on today's show. All right. And we have a special promotion right now at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Get 40% off orders of $100 or more. Okay, use promo code AHN40. Use promo code AHN40 at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, look, we're coming up here on the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Kwanzaa is coming, and the KwanzaaShop.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs. Order your Kwanzaa set today, which includes a kinara, candles, a mat, a cup, the African American flag, and a basket. Visit the KwanzaaShop.com, the KwanzaaShop.com. They have kinara sets, which include a candle holder, candles, a mat, and a cup. Kwanzaa is December 26th through January the 1st. Add the early bird discount code for 10% off your order placed before November 28th. Visit the KwanzaaShop.com and place your order today. The KwanzaaShop.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs to celebrate this African American Pan-African holiday. The KwanzaaShop.com.
History Network show. We deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. There was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. We have it all on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, November 29th, 2021, and we are live. Okay, visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have a special Cyber Monday promotion. Get 40% off orders of $100 or more at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And then also we have big discounts on online classes that I teach, my Saturday and Sunday online classes, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school, and from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. We have a special bundle pack when you can register for both classes. You get both classes for $70, regularly $130 each. Okay, that's at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and we do those classes live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. So if you can't attend class live, that's not a problem. You can go back and watch the class anytime. All right, that's at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, so right before the break, we were doing a rundown of the topics on today's show. So I saw this news break. We're going to go to clip one here in just a second, Shakita, from NBC News. I saw this breaking news story earlier today, and it's about Bill Cosby. And we know Bill Cosby was released from prison back in June of 2021. There was a whole lot of people upset about that. You know, first of all, having followed the case for some time now, I thought it was strange that he was even prosecuted based upon the previous agreement with the previous prosecutor. Okay, but nonetheless, that's what happened. So there's a story that came out today. NBC News has an article about this, as well as the Washington Post. Bill Cosby prosecutors asked U.S. Supreme Court to review decision to overturn conviction. Bill Cosby prosecutors asked U.S. Supreme Court to review decision to overturn conviction. All right. The Montgomery County District Attorney's Office in Pennsylvania said with its petition to the nation's highest court, a quote, grievous wrong, end quote, can be corrected. A grievous wrong can be corrected. All right. So here's what happened. Prosecutors in Pennsylvania asked the U.S. Supreme Court to review the decision that overturned Bill Cosby's indecent assault conviction. Okay, overturn his indecent assault, overturn the decision. I'm sorry, to review the decision that overturned his indecent assault conviction. Okay, arguing in the petition that Bill Cosby was incorrectly shielded from prosecution. Okay, arguing in the petition that he was incorrectly shielded from prosecution. Now, according to a statement from the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office on Monday, November 29th, a press statement issued by a previous district attorney that sexual assault charges against Bill Cosby, who's now 84, would not be filed, should not have granted Bill Cosby immunity. Now, the previous district attorney was District Attorney Kevin Steele. Okay. I'm sorry. Bruce Castor was the previous district attorney. The current district attorney is Kevin Steele. So when Bruce Castor was district attorney, this agreement was made. It was basically what's referred to as an informal agreement because it was in a press release. Okay. It was in the form of a press release. But it was stating that there was not enough evidence to prosecute Bill Cosby, and Bill Cosby was given assurance that he would not be prosecuted, and he agreed to a deposition for one of the lawsuits. He agreed to a deposition. The information in the deposition was used against him in this criminal lawsuit, in this criminal trial. Okay. So a press statement issued by a previous district attorney, Bruce Castor, that sexual assault charges against Bill Cosby would not be filed, should not have granted Bill Cosby immunity. This is what the current district attorney, Kevin Steele, from the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office is arguing. Quote, where a prosecutor publicly announces that he will not file criminal charges based on lack of evidence, does the due process clause of the 14th Amendment transform that announcement into a binding promise that no charges will ever be filed, a promise that the target may rely on as if it were a grant of immunity, end quote, according to the statement, where a prosecutor publicly announces that he will not file criminal charges based on lack of evidence, does the due process clause of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution transform that announcement into a binding promise that no charges will ever be filed, a promise that the target may rely on as if it were a grant of immunity, according to the statement. Now, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court in June of 2021 overturned the indecent assault conviction of Bill Cosby and ordered his release from prison after finding that he was denied protection against self-incrimination. Now, the court said that a prosecutor's decision not to charge Bill Cosby in an earlier case opened the door for him to speak freely in a lawsuit against him, thinking he would not incriminate himself criminally. A second prosecutor later used the lawsuit. So prosecutor Kevin Steele, the current prosecutor, Kevin Steele, S-T-E-E-L-E. Prosecutor Kevin Steele later used the lawsuit testimony in a criminal trial, and that testimony was key in Bill Cosby's conviction years later. Now, current Montgomery County District Attorney Kevin Steele, in a statement, said, quote, petitioning to ask the High Court for review was the right thing to do because of the precedent set in this case by the majority opinion of Pennsylvania Supreme Court that prosecutors' statements in press releases now seemingly create immunity. Okay, petitioning to ask the High Court for review was the right thing to do because of the precedent set in this case by the majority opinion of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that prosecutors' statements in press releases now seemingly create immunity. Quote, this decision as it stands will have far-reaching negative consequences beyond Montgomery County and Pennsylvania. The U.S. Supreme Court can right what we believe is a grievous wrong, end quote. Now, let's go to this clip. I'm going to go to this clip here. This is from NBC News. We're going to clip one, Shakita. This is from NBC News today. This is from November 29th. This is Pete Williams talking about this petition and how unlikely it is that the U.S. Supreme Court will take up this case. Let's go to clip one, Shakita.
Supreme Court to review an appeals court ruling to overturn Bill Cosby's 28th sexual assault conviction. This is just coming into us in the last couple hours. Why? Well, because of what the DA calls a dangerous precedent that could set for immunity agreements. Cosby, remember, served less than 3 years of a 3 to 10 year sentence. And then this is one of the shots of him. He was released from prison at the end of June. I want to bring in now Pete Williams. Okay, Pete, let's break this down for a second. What is the argument here that the Montgomery County District Attorney is trying to make?
So remember what happened in the case. A woman complained that Cosby drugged and sexually attacked her. But the prosecutor at the time said, you know, I just don't think there's enough evidence. We're not going to prosecute this case. Then Cosby was sued in a civil lawsuit and in his deposition incriminated himself. But he relied on the press release from the previous prosecutor promising never to prosecute him, so he thought he was in the clear.
It was there was a reasonable expectation, right, that Cosby could assume he wasn't going to get prosecuted.
And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that for that reason, his prosecution had to, he was subsequently prosecuted again. That evidence in the civil case was used against him, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court tossed out the conviction, said no, he relied on that press release. So what the new prosecutors are now saying is that doesn't make any sense. That was not a reliable thing. The court got it wrong. Please fix it, Supreme Court. You shouldn't be able to rely on a press release to think that you're immune. There was no court finding of immunity. There was no agreement among the lawyers. So that this, they say, is a wrong decision that could cause lots of, prosecutions to collapse and other people could depend on it.
Okay, so it's an interesting argument, but is it one that the Supreme Court has any chance in the world of taking up here?
Any chance in the world?
Well,
yes.
I was too broad in that piece.
Yeah,
I think you're going to...
But probably not much. This is a real long shot. Here's the reason. Number one, you don't have any right in almost every case to appeal to the Supreme Court. You have to ask. So the Supreme Court decides which cases to take. Secondly, they only generally take cases in which they view their job as harmonizing the law among the federal circuits. There's no circuit split here. This is a case that the prosecutor says straight out. This is a case of first impression. This has never happened before. The third thing is they say, you got to fix this because it's just prosecutions are going to fall apart. Well, there's nothing in the brief that says prosecutions are falling apart because of this Pennsylvania ruling. So for all those reasons, the Supreme Court just doesn't often take cases when someone says the lower court got it wrong, unless there is some huge constitutional or federal statutory issue at stake, and it's just none of those things are at present here.
Is there anything working in the DA's favor here, in the prosecution's favor, to get the Supreme Court to take them up? You just laid out three reasons why they probably wouldn't. Is there anything that tips the scale at least a little bit the other way?
Not that I can see. No, I think give them credit for giving it the old college try here, but I think the odds the court are going to take it are very remote.
All right, pause it right there. They gave it the old college try, I guess, like a different world or something like that. I'm in this a different world Facebook fan group. It's like 66,000 members for the TV show A Different World. So, all right, we'll deal with this on the other side of the break. Also talk about Chadwick Boseman. Today is Chadwick Boseman's 45th birthday. You see me wearing my Black Panther T'Challa Chadwick Boseman T-shirt. We know he passed away last year also. It was August 28th, 2020. Break list to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Soul in Motion, celebrating 38 years in the arts. This energetic ensemble of dancers and drummers was started by percussionist Michael Friend and is led by choreographer Associate Director Pam Lassiter. Based in the Washington, D.C. area, Soul in Motion is now accepting bookings for Black History Month, Juneteenth, and summer festivals in 2022. Soul in Motion is also available for more intimate events like naming ceremonies and weddings. To find out more or to book your date, call 240-452-1349 or send an email to info@soulinmotion.org. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Soul in Motion, celebrating our history, our culture, our future. Soul in Motion. Theater, African dance, and drumming since 1984.
Mental health and well-being have long been a taboo subject in the so-called African American community. So I enlisted the help of mental health experts, thought leaders, and activists to help kill the ghost of Willie Lynch and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
We experience trauma a lot of times on a subconscious level. So sometimes something happens to us and we know that it's traumatizing, but we don't really recognize the extent of the trauma.
All right. The Superstation.
The oldest radio station in town since 1922.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, November 29th, 2021, and we are live. It is one birthday of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman, born November 29th, 1976. All right, seems like a long time ago, but I was 5 years old. Okay. So he would have been 45 today. We'll talk about Chadwick Boseman in just a minute here. And we know that Wakanda Forever was trending today on social media. So when I was getting ready for this show, like 2 minutes when I was picking out wardrobe, like 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes before we started the show, because I spent time researching. Okay, so I spent like hours pulling together content for the show. I spent like 2 minutes getting dressed for the show. So I went in my closet and there was my Black Panther shirt, right? One of my Black Panther shirts with Chadwick Boseman on it. So I said, I'm wearing that today. Okay, this is making it like really simple. Okay, so all right, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. So right before the break, we were dealing with this story out of Philadelphia, dealing with Bill Cosby. Okay, so the prosecutor, the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office there in Philadelphia has filed a petition today to the U.S. Supreme Court to try to get the Supreme Court to take up this case and to overturn the what happened in June with Bill Cosby. Prosecutors in Pennsylvania asked the U.S. Supreme Court to review the decision that overturned Bill Cosby's indecent assault conviction, arguing in a petition that Bill Cosby was incorrectly shielded from prosecution when he was released from prison in June of 2021. All right. So as you heard from NBC News right before the break, and Pete Williams from NBC News, it's unlikely that the U.S. Supreme Court takes up this case, but with this 6-3 conservative majority and 3 judges nominated and rammed through by Trump, it's still unlikely, but I'm not 100% confident. I'm not 100% sure. It's still unlikely that they pick it up, but you never know. Now, quote, as it stands, will have far-reaching negative consequences beyond Montgomery County and Pennsylvania. The U.S. Supreme Court can right what we believe is a grievous wrong, said current Montgomery County District Attorney Kevin Steele in a statement. Now, Kevin Steele was referring to press statements from Bruce Castor, the previous Montgomery District Attorney at the time, who declined to press charges against Bill Cosby, quote, thereby allowing Cosby to be forced to testify in a subsequent civil action, end quote, according to the High Court. Okay. Unable to invoke any right not to testify in the civil proceedings, Bill Cosby relied upon the district attorney's declination and proceeded to provide 4 sworn depositions. During those depositions, Bill Cosby made several incriminating statements. Justice Wecht, W-E-C-H-T, wrote a 79-page opinion, joined by Justice Deborah Todd, Christine Donahue, and Sally Updike Mundy. Okay, so read the rest of this here at NBCnews.com. Bill Cosby prosecutors asked U.S. Supreme Court to review decision to overturn conviction. And then also the Washington Post has an article on this as well. Cosby prosecutors urge Supreme Court to restore conviction. So we'll see what happens there. Now, today is the 45th birthday of Chadwick Boseman. All right. And we know we lost Chadwick Boseman last year. It was August 28th, 2020. He died of pancreatic cancer. So the I want to go to this story here. Hold on, let's pull this up. All right. So today, Wakanda Forever was trending on social media, and Chadwick Boseman was born November 29th, 1976. And let me pull something up. I want to pull up the original article here from the New York Times as well. And there was also a story from BET that deals with Marvel says they're not going to recast T'Challa, recast Chadwick Boseman's character in Black Panther. Okay. So we'll talk about this as well. It's colon cancer. I'm sorry, colon cancer. It had progressed to stage 4 colon cancer. When Chadwick Boseman passed away from colon cancer. All right. Now, if we look at this article here from BET, Marvel says they will not recast Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther character. And let me pull this up here. Marvel says they would not recast Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther character in Marvel comic universe. You will not see T'Challa in the Marvel comic universe 616 universe, said Nate Moore, Marvel's VP of development. Quote, "We couldn't do it," end quote. We couldn't do it. So now this article here is from November 17th, 2021. All right. Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther character T'Challa will not be seen again in future Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Marvel's VP of development, Nate Moore, shared the reason why Chadwick Boseman's acclaimed character won't be in any future Marvel Comic Universe projects on a recent episode of Ringverse podcast. He said, "You will not see T'Challa in the MCU Marvel Comic Universe 616 universe. We couldn't do it. I will say when Chad passed, it was real. It was a real conversation we had with Ryan Coogler, director of the film, Ryan Coogler, about what do we do?" Okay. He said we couldn't do it. I would say when Chad passed, it was a real conversation we had with Ryan Coogler about what do we do. And it was a fast conversation. It wasn't weeks. It was minutes of, quote, "We have to figure out how to move this franchise on without that character. We have to figure out how to move this franchise on without that character." Now, as I said before, early in the show, throughout the Wakanda, we know Wakanda's a fictitious African nation in Central East Africa. The location changes over the years. Sometimes it's close to Rwanda, but there've been numerous people who have been the Black Panther throughout the Marvel comic universe, including T'Challa's father, T'Chaka. All right. So, and at one point, Shuri, his sister, is the Black Panther also in the comic book. All right. Now, let's see here. Let's go to, so Nate Moore went on to say, quote, "Because I think we all feel so much of T'Challa in the Marvel comic universe on the screen, not the comics, is tied to Chadwick's performance. Okay, because I think we all feel so much of T'Challa in the Marvel comic universe on the screen, not the comics, is tied to Chadwick Boseman's performance. Is what he brought to that film on and off the screen, I would argue. So as hard as it is to narratively figure out what to do, because that's a big hole, at no point did we consider recasting him. At no point did we consider recasting him. So the challenge for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the second film, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, is telling a story without T'Challa. So they should make Shuri, Letitia Wright's character, the Black Panther. Okay, we know they shut down production because she was injured. She was injured while filming the sequel. Now, Nate Moore's comments come not too long after Marvel announced that it will temporarily shut down production on its upcoming film Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, while actress Letitia Wright recovers from an injury that occurred on set back in August 2021. Okay. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is scheduled to hit theaters November 11th, 2022. Now, I'll give you one guess who's going to be up front and center. And I don't sit in the back of theaters. I like to sit up front. Sometimes I may sit in the back, depending upon what's going on. I like to sit up front as close as I can to the front because I like to be in the movie. Okay. So I'm going to be there opening. I'm going to be there first day. I don't go to sports events. I don't go to opening day, Tigers and Lions, and maybe because it's sorry. That may have something to do with it. I don't know. Well, I haven't watched an NFL game since Colin Kaepernick left the league. So that tells you what I think about football. But I will be there front and center November 11th, 2022 for Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. All right. We'll talk about this some more on the other side of the break. And we'll talk a little bit about some more about Chadwick Boseman and how the hashtag Wakanda Forever was trending on social media today because today is Chadwick Boseman's 45th birthday. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Are you?
Stand by. All right, how's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Stand by. All right. Okay, we have Zanny. Okay, give us a thumbs up if you're watching this broadcast and you like what you see. Give us a thumbs up. Okay, back from break in 4 minutes, everybody. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. All right. Okay, who still needs to register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays? From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Back from break in 3 minutes. Stand by. All right. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, November 29th, 2021. And we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so as we said at the top of the show, and as we said right before the break, today is Chadwick Boseman's 45th birthday. Now, we know he passed away on August 28th, 2020, passed away from stage 4 colon cancer. And this was an article that we talked about here on the show, actually when he passed away. This is from the New York Times. This is from the New York Times from August 28th, 2020. Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman dies of cancer at 43. The actor also played groundbreaking figures like James Brown, Jackie Robinson, and Thurgood Marshall, becoming one of his generation's most sought-after leading men. Okay, so you can read this article here from New York Times. It gives a lot of background information on Chadwick Boseman. We know he was also in August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom as well. Okay, and he's with Howard University. Also, I know Dr. Greg Carr. He was a student of Dr. Greg Carr at Howard University. Dr. Greg Carr is the chair of the Afro-American Studies Department at Howard. He's a friend of mine. I've interviewed him a few times, Dr. Greg Carr. And Dr. Greg Carr, we're panelists on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I'm on each Friday on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and Greg is on Thursdays usually. He's usually on Thursdays with it's usually on Reese with Reese Colbert. Okay. So right before the break, we were talking about Marvel Comic Universe. Marvel's VP of Development, Nate Moore, said that they are not going to recast Chadwick Boseman's character of T'Challa. And this is an article from BET, but I've read a number of articles dealing with this also. Now, today, Screen Rant has an article, and there are a number of articles written about this also. The hashtag Wakanda Forever was trending on Twitter today as fans celebrate Chadwick Boseman's 45th birthday. So Wakanda Forever trended on Twitter as Chadwick Boseman's fans paid tribute to the actor on what would have been his 45th birthday. Chadwick Boseman was silently fighting a battle with colon cancer for years before he ultimately passed away last August. It was August 28th, 2020 that he passed away. And I know it was a shock for all of us. Now, some of us saw pictures of him leading up to his death, and we could tell there was something wrong with him. Now, I saw pictures. I wasn't sure if it was a role that he was preparing for and had to lose a lot of weight for a role or what, but it was something going on. Okay. Chadwick Boseman was truly an incredible person and performer, and his unexpected death shocked the world. Family, friends, and fans mourned the Black Panther star as a great man cut down in his prime. Now, Chadwick Boseman made a name for himself in 2012 by starring as Jackie Robinson in the movie 42. Okay, and I saw the movie 42, Jackie Robinson. I saw the original movie about Jackie Robinson, starring Jackie Robinson. I saw that one. That was in black and white. Okay, and I saw that years ago. That's a good movie also. Okay, 42 was a good movie, and starred Harrison Ford as well as Branch Rickey. So it's a good movie. And Chadwick Boseman went on to play several iconic African American historical figures such as James Brown and Get On Up. That was a good movie, and he did James Brown in that one as well. He also played Thurgood Marshall in Marshall. Now, what's interesting, okay, so, all right, so Chadwick Boseman can play a light-skinned person like Thurgood Marshall and two dark-skinned people like James Brown and Jackie Robinson. Okay, so that's versatility, all right. That's versatility. Despite his passing August 28th, 2020, despite his passing, the year 2020 ended up being one of Chadwick Boseman's best years in terms of his work. The actor was praised for his performance as Stormin' Norman in Spike Lee's The Five Bloods. He also received his first Oscar nomination for his outstanding performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which many thought the actor was a shoo-in to win the award, the Academy Award. Now, today on Chadwick Boseman's 45th birthday, fans of the actor took to Twitter to remember and praise him for his wide range of impactful work. As a result, Wakanda Forever was trending as people online used the salute from Black Panther to pay tribute to the star who made T'Challa such an instantly iconic and essential character on the big screen. All right. And you see Chadwick Boseman here doing the Wakanda Forever salute, which is always right over left. It's always right over left. The reason why is because right over left is the position of the Nasubitis, of the pharaohs, the Nasubitis, and it is a symbol of power. Okay, and we know Wakanda is a Bantu word, but it's also Native American. It's Sioux Indian in Omaha Ponca, the word Wakanda. And Wakanda means possesses secret powers. So Wakanda is not a made up word. It means possesses secret powers. And it's an ancient word. And we also know it's a Bantu word. So it's in, and I'm trying to find some of the, I know it's Kikongo because the word Kanda in Kikongo means family. But it's also a Bantu word. And we know the language used in the film Black Panther is isiXhosa, and isiXhosa is a Bantu language as well. isiXhosa is spoken in Southern Africa. So the film Black Panther is deep on multiple levels. So I'm looking forward to Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. I'll probably do a lecture on that as well, because I've done an extensive lecture on the first Black Panther movie. Okay, those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're out of time here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. We're going to keep going for a couple more minutes and do an update on Kevin Strickland. If you like this type of information, you support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, and at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Remember, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Right now, it's correct wrong behaviors. Not over till we win. Wakanda Forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. I want to go to quickly here the story dealing with this update dealing with Kevin Strickland. And I have to cue this up. Okay. We'll take a quick commercial break. You're watching the African History Network show. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Soul in Motion, celebrating 38 years in the arts. This energetic ensemble of dancers and drummers was started by percussionist Michael Friend and is led by choreographer Associate Director Pam Lassiter. Based in the Washington, D.C. area, Soul in Motion is now accepting bookings for Black History Month, Juneteenth, and summer festivals in 2022. Soul in Motion is also available for more intimate events like naming ceremonies and weddings. To find out more or to book your date, call 240-452-1349 or send an email to info@soulinmotion.org. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Soul in Motion, celebrating our history, our culture, our future. Soul in Motion. Theater, African dance, and drumming since 1984.
Mental health and well-being have long been a taboo subject in the so-called African American community. So I enlisted the help of mental health experts, thought leaders, and activists to help kill the ghost of Willie Lynch and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
We experience trauma a lot of times on a subconscious level. So sometimes something happens to us and we know that it's traumatizing, but we don't really recognize the extent of the trauma.
This was the front page of the Kansas City Star this morning. Kevin Strickland, a man wrongfully imprisoned by the state of Missouri for 42 years and 4 months, finally freed. But the subhead to the story is what's crushing. Quote, exonerated man won't get a dime from the state. The story goes on to say that, quote, unlike guilty prisoners, a parole officer will not help Strickland find counseling, housing, or work. And unlike exonerees in some other states, he will not be eligible through a compensation package for social services, such as participating in the state's health care program. And maybe most importantly, Missouri almost never compensates wrongfully imprisoned people for their time served. On the federal level, exonerees are given $50,000 for every year that they were wrongfully imprisoned. Missouri's neighbor, Kansas, just passed a law in 2018 making the wrongfully convicted eligible for $65,000 for each year of wrongful incarceration. If Mr. Strickland had been imprisoned mere miles away on the Kansas side of the border, that law would make him eligible for more than $2.7 million. But the state of Missouri isn't giving him a thing. He is 62 years old. He's been locked up since he was 18 years old. So what's he supposed to do? Well, back in June, Mr. Strickland sat down with ABC for an interview and tried to answer that very question.
So what do you do? How do you start over your life at 62?
I kind of jokingly talked about that recently with a friend of mine. I guess I give me a cardboard box and get up under the bridge somewhere.
Is that really, that's how you're going to start, you feel?
I mean, what do I have? I mean, if they were to tell me roll out now, they'd take this chair. I had to crawl out the front door. I have nothing.
Well, with no help from the state, the Midwest Innocence Project, which worked to help free Mr. Strickland, has resorted to setting up a GoFundMe page. So far, it has raised more than $450,000, which is fantastic. But Mr. Strickland shouldn't have to rely on a GoFundMe page for this. In the words of the Kansas City Star editorial board today, quote, Kevin Strickland got a measure of justice, but Missouri needs to write him a check.
All right. So based upon, so we see that Cynthia Douglas, who was the only eyewitness to identify Kevin Strickland as having been involved in the triple murder, he was not there. She was wrong in her identification. She tried to recant her testimony. Okay. Let's go back to this here. But when Kevin Strickland found out that Cynthia Douglas had died in 2015 at 57 before she had the chance to formally recant her testimony, he said it felt as if his chances at exoneration had also expired. Okay, it felt as if his chances at exoneration had also expired. He said, I think I cursed God. Why me? Why did you tease me like this, God? I apologize to him every day, but I cursed God. And as I was saying before the audio went out, Cynthia Douglas tried to recant her testimony, okay, and she reached out to the Midwest Innocence Project, okay. Wesson, who was friends with Douglas and Cynthia Douglas and Black growing up, said Cynthia Douglas came to him for guidance in 2004, a shell of the funny, vibrant young woman he remembered. She contacted him again in 2009, wondering how she could get her recantation out there. He suggested drafting an email to an organization that would listen, such as the Midwest Innocence Project, a nonprofit group that aids wrongfully convicted individuals. Okay, so now, as we talked about last week, and there was an article from the Kansas City Star that deals with this. Because of how crazy the law is in Missouri, if you are exonerated if you're exonerated from having committed a crime, but you are exonerated without DNA evidence, and you don't qualify, you won't get any restitution, any compensation from the state government. Okay, they just release you, and that's it. They just release you, and that's it. This piece here from KansasCity.com breaks this down. And this is this deals with the importance of state laws in your state legislature and your governor. Okay, this is from the Kansas City Star, November 23rd, 2021. All right, let me see if I can close this out here. I have nothing. Kevin Strickland will soon be freed, but won't get a dime from Missouri. Okay. And this article goes through and breaks down Missouri state law. And then one of the things that it also talks about is if in Kansas, the state of Kansas, if he had been convicted in Kansas, he would be eligible to receive $65,000 in compensation for each year that he was incarcerated. Sean O'Brien, a University of Missouri, Kansas City law professor who has helped free innocent prisoners, said Missouri should adopt a compensation law similar to the one in neighboring Kansas, which in 2018 passed a measure making the wrongfully convicted eligible to receive $65,000 in compensation for each year they were incarcerated. Okay, this is neighboring Kansas based upon state law in Kansas. For Kevin Strickland, the law in Kansas would have made him eligible for more than $2.7 million, okay, for this wrongful conviction. In other recent exonerations in the area, Kansas paid Lamont McIntyre, the state of Kansas paid Lamont McIntyre $1.5 million for serving 23 years for 2 murders he did not commit in Kansas City, Kansas. Okay. Local attorneys say they tend to see Kansas exonerees fare better than those in the state of Missouri. In Missouri, the only way Kevin Strickland will receive compensation is if lawmakers pass a bill ordering the state to pay him. Okay, that's the only way he can receive compensation based upon the current laws in the state of Missouri. If lawmakers pass a bill ordering the state of Missouri to pay Kevin Strickland, legal experts say. Exonerees can also sue, but they have to show that police or prosecutors acted in bad faith, which is an uphill battle. Okay. Now, at the time of this article here, the GoFundMe campaign that organized $50,000 for Kevin Strickland is now over $1.5 million, okay, for Kevin Strickland. It's now at basically a little more than $1.5 million for him. And they have the link to it in this article from Kansas City Star. Okay, so it's now a little more than $1.6 million for Kevin Strickland. So I want to go to this story here from this is from MSNBC, the Rachel Maddow show. Ali Velshi was sitting in for Rachel Maddow, and he discussed this story and the law in the law in Missouri. Let's cue this up. Hold on.
This was the front page of the Kansas City Star this morning. Kevin Strickland, a man wrongfully imprisoned by the state of Missouri for 42 years and 4 months, finally freed. But the subhead to the story is what's crushing. Quote, exonerated man won't get a dime from the state. The story goes on to say that, quote, unlike guilty prisoners, a parole officer will not help Strickland find counseling, housing, or work. And unlike exonerees in some other states, he will not be eligible through a compensation package for social services, such as participating in the state's health care program. And maybe most importantly, Missouri almost never compensates wrongfully imprisoned people for their time served. On the federal level, exonerees are given $50,000 for every year that they were wrongfully imprisoned. Missouri's neighbor, Kansas, just passed a law in 2018 making the wrongfully convicted eligible for $65,000 for each year of wrongful incarceration. If Mr. Strickland had been imprisoned mere miles away on the Kansas side of the border, that law would make him eligible for more than $2.7 million. But the state of Missouri isn't giving him a thing. He is 62 years old. He's been locked up since he was 18 years old. So what's he supposed to do? Back in June, Mr. Strickland sat down with ABC for an interview and tried to answer that very question.
So what do? How do you start over your life at 62?
I kind of jokingly talked about that recently with a friend of mine. I guess I'd get me a cardboard box and get up under the bridge somewhere.
Is that really? That's how you're going to start, you feel?
I mean, what do I have? I mean, if they were to tell me to roll out now, they'd take this chair. I have to crawl out the front door. I have nothing.
Well, with no help from the state, the Midwest Innocence Project, which worked to help free Mr. Strickland, has resorted to setting up a GoFundMe page. So far, it has raised more than $450,000, which is fantastic. But Mr. Strickland shouldn't have to rely on a GoFundMe page for this. In the words of the Kansas City Star editorial board today, quote, Kevin Strickland got a measure of justice, but Missouri needs to write him a check.
All right, so that was from the Rachel Maddow show. That was Ali Velshi sitting in for Rachel. And that clip is from, that's from last week. That is from, I'll give you the date. That's from November 25th. That's from Thursday, November 25th, 2021. Missouri gives Strickland his freedom, but no compensation for decades lost in prison. All right. And also read that article there from the Kansas City Star as well. And I can't stress this enough. This deals with state laws. Okay. Read this article here from the Kansas City Star. Let me pull this up again. I have nothing. Kevin Strickland will soon be freed, but won't get a dime from Missouri. This is why when I hear people talking this simple Simon ass nonsense about not voting, I'm like, do you understand that politics impacts every aspect of our life? From the water we drink to the air we breathe to the food we eat. 90 to 95% of the issues people call in the radio shows every day across the country complaining about are the results of bad public policy. This is based upon law in Missouri written by people in the state legislature and the signing of the law by governor. Those are all elected positions. All right. So read that article also from Kansas City Star. Okay, this other topic we'll get to tomorrow, dealing with the difference between malice murder and felony murder in the Michael Bryan murder trial. We talked about that before, but there's a clip I'm going to play. We'll deal with that tomorrow. We're out of time here. Okay, be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have a Cyber Monday sale going on. Get 40% off orders of $100 or more. including my bundle packs and my lectures. And we have a big discount on the digital downloads and also on our online courses as well. Okay. So at our website, we have the promo on the online courses. We have the bundle pack. You can register for both of the classes I teach, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And then also understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. You can register for both those classes. They're regular prices $130 each, but we have them in a bundle on sale for $70. Okay, that's for a very, very limited time only. That's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And we do the sessions live. We do it Saturday, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We deal with history from the Civil War era through Reconstruction, Jim Crow era, World War I, World War II, Black Power, Civil Rights Movement, Black Power Movement, Great Migration. We do the sessions live. All the classes are recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. Okay. So we have that one. You can get that in a bundle, or it's on sale, $50. And then the other one here, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We do this on Sundays, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that one's on sale, $60, or you can get that in the bundle where you get both classes on sale for $70. All right. And that's for a very, very limited time only. And then all of my DVD lectures and digital downloads are at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com as well. So we have them on Juneteenth, Black Wall Street. We have this bundle pack right here. You'll get 40% off with the promo code AHN 40 off 2021. Promo code AHN 40 off 2021. And that sale is running through Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. This is a 15 DVD bundle pack. You get 15 of my lectures dealing with all different topics. Everything from my almost 3-hour lecture dealing with the film Black Panther. Okay. And I deal with how the film Black Panther relates to African history, African culture, African language, African spiritual systems. You'll get that. You'll get. So we have this one here, Black Panther Analysis, African Culture, History, and Afrofuturism. You'll get it's actually, I think you get 3 of my lectures on Black Panther. Was it 2 or 3? 3 of them, because there's one I did for children also. You'll get this one right here that deals with Breaking the Chains, Why We Celebrate African American History Month, Exposing the Myths. This deals with origins of Black History Month, African American History Month, and I deal with Dr. Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, created September 9th, 1915 in Chicago. You'll get Malcolm X 50 years later, why is he still relevant? And we deal with Malcolm and his influence on conscious hip hop. I deal with Malcolm's life, but also his influence on conscious hip hop. You do with this one, you get this one here, The Distortion of the Legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the Revolutionary, will not be televised on the television. The Distortion of the Legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the Revolutionary, will not be televised on the television. And I deal with the Revolutionary Dr. King. And now, this is not the Dr. King that you hear about usually on Dr. King Day. You know, I talk about the Dr. King that tried to get a concealed pistol license in Montgomery, Alabama, 1956, during the Montgomery bus boycott, because Dr. King owned guns until Bayard Rustin convinced him to get rid of his guns. So I deal with the Revolutionary Dr. King. So we have others also. The 3/5 Compromise of 1787 and the Electoral College. in how the Electoral College works, the history of the Electoral College, and the Three-Fifths Compromise of 1787, which people mistakenly think said we were 3/5 of a human being. That's Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the U.S. Constitution. So you get those lectures. You'll get 13 Forms of Wealth, Keys to Entrepreneurship and Economic Empowerment, the racist history of the white national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. So I deal with the history of the national anthem, written by Francis Scott Key in September of 1814 during the War of 1812, and I deal with the history of the Pledge of Allegiance, written by Francis Bellamy, a Methodist minister, Francis Bellamy, who was a socialist, by the way, in 1892. And I tie all that into Colin Kaepernick's protests. You get this double lecture I did with Dr. David Imhotep, who wrote the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. We did this here in Detroit, back in 2013. You'll also get this one here, Redistributing the Pain, How African Americans Historically Fought Back with Economic Boycotts, Redistributing the Pain. So I show historical examples of us using different types of economic withdrawal strategies to fight back against white supremacy and racism. I show documented historical examples of us using, this is a 4-hour presentation, of us using different types of economic withdrawal strategies to fight back against white supremacy and racism. Here I am. This is in Baltimore. One of my teachers, Dr. Claude Anderson, who you've heard me interview here on the show before. You get Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization. So this is a 4-hour presentation. We deal with some well-known and not so well-known African women in our history from all different time periods. Also, you'll get Ancient Kemet, the Winter Solstice, and the History of Christmas. So this is a 3-hour presentation. In this, I go through and we deal with the pre-Christian origins of Christmas, the pre-Christian origins of Christmas, and get deep into the history. Ancient Kemet, the Winter Solstice, and the History of Christmas. All right, so this is all in the bundle pack. It's regularly $100. It's on sale right now. For a special promotion, get 40% off orders of $100 or more. We just posted the link here also in the code, but that's at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and it's right on the homepage. It's at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And we have promo code AHN40 off 2021. All right. And if you have any questions, if you want to pay through Cash App instead of PayPal, if you have any questions, email me at ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Kwanzaa is coming, and the KwanzaaShop.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs. Order your Kwanzaa set today, which includes a kinara, candles, a mat, a cup, the African American flag, and a basket. Visit the KwanzaaShop.com, the KwanzaaShop.com. They have kinara sets, which include a candle holder, candles, a mat, and a cup. Kwanzaa is December 26th through January the 1st. Add the early bird discount code for 10% off your order placed before November 28th. Visit the KwanzaaShop.com and place your order today. The KwanzaaShop.com has all of your Kwanzaa needs to celebrate this African American Pan-African holiday. The KwanzaaShop.com.
Mental health and well-being have long been a taboo subject in the so-called African American community. So I enlisted the help of mental health experts, thought leaders, and activists to help kill the ghost of Willie Lynch and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
We experience trauma a lot of times on a subconscious level. So sometimes something happens to us and we know that it's traumatizing, but we don't really recognize the extent of the trauma.
Soul in Motion, celebrating 38 years in the arts. This energetic ensemble of dancers and drummers was started by percussionist Michael Friend and is led by choreographer Associate Director Pam Lassiter. Based in the Washington, D.C. area, Soul in Motion is now accepting bookings for Black History Month, Juneteenth, and summer festivals in 2022. Soul in Motion is also available for more intimate events like naming ceremonies and weddings. To find out more or to book your date, call 240-452-1349 or send an email to info@soulinmotion.org. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Soul in Motion, celebrating our history, our culture, our future. Soul in Motion. Theater, African dance, and drumming since 1984.